Good morning. It's the 29th of October 2023. The clocks went back an hour last night. We'll have short evenings. The day is overcast and dull with a wee bit of shower here and there, but it's not too cold. Now, on the subject of electric cars and all of that, there are a number of things I want to bring to your attention. I have a few reliable people who ask questions of people who own them or who have owned them, and so I can be sure of what I'm saying is correct. And I want to just give a bit of an outline because there are people who will buy electric cars irrespective of what evidence there is, yes or no. And people are not concerned with any environmental degradation or children digging out the minerals for them. Nobody concerned about that in Ireland anyway. I would take it into account, but then I'm the exception. So what we're going to look at is what is the general view. Now the first thing is I know a taxi driver in rural Ireland who has an MG and is very happy with it, says that he charges it at home, but I asked about if you're charging it with a generator in an emergency, what would happen, and he says you'd need 7 kilowatt capacity. 7 kilowatt capacity. Now, there's another program I saw there, a video, which you can't 100% rely on videos on YouTube or Rumble, but it gives the figure at 4.8 kilowatts. So obviously there's different charging rates, but we're talking anyway about the power that's needed to power an electric cooker with the 4 top rings and the oven, and maybe even the top oven, the grill as well. That's quite a draw. I mean, you'd want strong wires to carry that, and I have often had to replace. Luckily, where you have heavy wiring, usually 6 square or 10 square, coming into a house going to electric cooker, the wires may eventually burn, but they burn at where they attach to the socket. If they burned up in the conduit, up in the piping built into the wall, you'd have a hell of a problem. You'd have to wire it outside. I don't think you could draw those wires down. Maybe you could if you could get at the attic. Not easy done. But luckily, the way nature works is it burns usually where it goes into the socket on the wall, where you switch it off and switch it on. And I've repaired them a few times and they will burn out, and you just cut a wee bit of the wire and there's usually enough left to get it reconnected. So it's a heavy draw. Now, in any event, some say it's equivalent to having an electric shower on constantly. I'm not too sure about that, but I have repaired the wiring, the heavy wiring going to electric showers also. So, same thing. Now, so we're looking here anyway, somewhere in the region of about 6 kilowatts, if you take the two as an average, 7 kilowatts according to that taxi driver, who is happy enough with his MG taxi car so far. Now, apart from that, a person who is very reliable was in a Dublin taxi, and it's an electric taxi, and asked the man driving it about it, and he was happy too. But he said if you got a fare to Galway from Dublin, which must be 130 miles, I just haven't looked it up, could be 140 miles, but he says if you got a fare far away, you have to refuse it. You cannot go down and charge up and come back. You'll be there all night. So he says he does 90% of his fares in and around the city of Dublin and up to the airport. But he says if the fare is far away, he gives it to somebody else with a petrol or diesel taxi. That's true too. Make what you like of that. Now, I know a lady in the hospitality industry, a very busy lady, runs a great show. I'll go no more than that. Who bought an electric car, a brand no expense spared. I'm nearly sure it was a Tesla, a really good one, and got rid of it for the simple reason she wanted to be able to go where she liked. She had to drive to another outlet they have far away down in the south from the northeast, and she said the word she said, and she didn't want to make little of them. It didn't do what it said on the tin. That's what she said. It didn't do what it said on the tin. And I take that to mean when she put on the heater on a cold day and the wipers on a wet day and drove off, by the time she got down to her destination, which is well over 100 miles, she had to get charging it. And I don't know, was there a charger at the place she was going, but certainly she had to charge it anyway. and maybe she wanted to come back the same day, or maybe there was an overnight charge, or there was some problem. But eventually, anyway, she got rid of the car, a brand new car, and that's all she would say. It didn't do what it said on the tin. Okay. Now I know another quite well-to-do lady, lovely lady, of a well-to-do family, and she has a Mercedes. It's not the saloon one. It's the is it 350 or something? I'm not just too sure. I'm bad on those. I never bother with numbers. But it's the kind of one with the bigger wheels. It's a shorter, sportier with a bigger wheel one. You know the way they're making the Volkswagen electric car has big wheels, a stocky car, and I prefer those type of cars. The low cars can give you fierce grief if you hit the sump. Or if you drive them accidentally without the sub guard, you'll bust the sump. So I think they're a great thing in any car. But in any event, this lady has the diesel Mercedes, and it has a hybrid battery, and she says you're really only charging the battery from the diesel engine. She says you can go a bit out the gate, and if you're in traffic in a town, you can leave on the electric and work it like that. But she says it's minimal use. It's minimal use. Now don't forget she has the fire risk, because a hybrid has a battery, so it has the same fire risk, and it has extra weight that you're carrying when you're driving it in the diesel mode, and the diesel has to charge the battery, and usually the diesel is a higher horsepower or cc than the plain ones. My ideal diesel engine in a car is 2 litres, does me grand, and I've advised several people. I've been with people buying various types of cars, Volkswagens and Toyotas and Audis and all those, and I always recommend the 2-litre diesel engine as probably the best engineering that ever has been carried out by man. I think they're one of the most efficient pieces of kit you can possibly get. So if you have to up the RAV, for example, to a petrol 2.5, it really defeats the purpose. And I forgot to say, I know the father of a girl who has a 2.5 Nissan, or no, sorry, Toyota RAV, and I don't think it's going to be renewed. I think they're not very happy with it. And the usual chat is they get you up the road 3 or 4 miles. Now, I don't see the point. I also know somebody who had a Nissan Leaf, never again, never again, and the power distribution module, is that what you call it, is in a very awkward place. It was obtained from China, and it was the wrong one. There's unbelievable misery with them. It's going. Now, I hope I'm giving a balanced view here, because there's no point in me trying to downplay these things. My job is to let you know what's happening, and to get through the hype, remembering that everything you'll see in the paper is pro-electric car. That's just advertising. That's like them saying that their brand of washing powder is cleaner and whiter than the next, which is a load of baloney. We have to get to understand the difference between advertising and fact. Get to understand, and it's hard to get away from them and separate them. Even if you go on the deaths notices on rip.ie, the Irish Internet Deaths DERTH website, you will see there that there's advertising even there. So you don't even escape it by kicking the bucket, as the fella said. Another man had a Toyota Prius, and it must be 9 years ago since he bought it. The Toyota Prius battery at that time, don't ask me now, didn't have a lithium-ion battery. It had a nickel-cadmium battery, a nickel-cadmium battery, and that's the same battery that is supposed to be in the lunar rover that travelled round the moon. That's the same nickel cadmium, and I have them here in batteries. Okay, they're not as good you don't get the same output out of them for the same weight, but he had it anyway, a hybrid petrol Toyota Prius, and got rid of it. Never again. Not necessarily a complete waste, but never again. Now, the issue for those who support them here on that is to tell us about towing them. Can they be towed, or can they not be towed? Can they be towed up on a trailer? Definitely the Nissan Leaf, if you tow it even 2 meters, it's finished. It's not worth fixing, because it will pressurize the whole gear train. Okay, that's what I know to be the case. They have to be lifted up on a lorry if you need to take them off the road. That happened with Cavan County Council. They towed one up on a trailer, and it never went again. So that's one. The other thing is that they can't tow a trailer. I know that the Mazda can't be used to tow a trailer. And this has another huge significance. Supposing I was driving past a house, we'll say I'm up in Navan in County Meath, and I'm driving past a house and I see a electric car going on fire. And I always carry a rope, a tow rope with me. I carry all that in the van because the van I use, and I see that. One thing you could do is put the tow rope onto the ball hitch on the electric car and put it on my car and pull it out, because that would save the house. It'd make a lot of sense. The other thing, if the fire brigade arrived and it's only starting, they would have the equipment to pull it. But you can't put the rope on the tow bar because there's no tow bar. And if there is and you pull it and you burst up the gear train, who's responsible? So that's one area where I'd like to see legislation where anyone who pulls a car away in a fire is covered. That's one thing should be done immediately, that I wouldn't find myself paying for the electric car to try and save a house being burnt and the occupants being burnt, or to try to stop the electric car doing damage or burning another car or whatever. It's just a point I'm making. I want the pro-electric car here, people, to answer these questions, please. Right, now. So now, the next thing is that there is an Australian Health and Safety Directive issued about ferries, and I'll try and post a link. It doesn't say not to put them on a ferry. It says they should be parked on their own. All electric cars should be in a particular place, and it gives you the part of the boat it should be. I take it it's up at the front, near the bow, so that and it is that way actually, where it doesn't affect the engine, it doesn't affect lots of things. In other words, you don't put them all mixed through, you put them all in one location, so that when fire breaks out, you have it in one area and you can do a whole lot of things. I was reading through it, that said something about getting near the port, but sure, if you're out in the sea, how are you going to get near the port? That's just another little acceptance of a health and safety authority. I hope to find it. I did read it online, and I hope to find it and post it underneath. So just another little bit of the authorities copying on that there's a safety problem. In Ireland, with our present Minister, Eamon Ryan, Minister for Energy, it'll take up to 70 to 80 people to die. They have to lose their lives. You will not change the religion of the Greens. You have to die. And deaths would be seen as well worth it. It would be a sacrifice in their eyes. So that's the thing there. But that's another little bit there. Again, just a factual thing right now. Now, the other thing is on the Newbridge fire, and there's a chap there posted, don't ask, I just forget his username, and his contribution is appreciated. The only trouble I have with contributions, I fear there could be just advertising. They could be trying to counter, but still, you need a bit of, you need to hear the other side. Now, what I did was, nobody has the registered number of the car in Newbridge. Nobody can find the registered number, and nobody seems to be able to find it. And I would definitely pay €30 to anyone who will get me the actual registered number, and I will be able to check it on a computer and see what it is. But that's not that easy to do. Why is this not available? I don't know. The way the fire went from the front passenger seat would indicate it's the hybrid Mercedes, and that's where the battery is. This chap says no, it's a diesel, that the model was before they went hybrid and all of that. I'm not saying he's wrong. What I did is, I'm well acquainted with people in the motor trade, and I asked a good friend of mine to do inquiries, and it took him a while to do it, and then it took me a while to meet him, because he didn't just ring me back, and he says, I have the detail for you now. It's a hybrid Merc. I think it's a C300. I know 300 in it. I'm hopeless on car makes. I just never bother with them. But it's a C300. I think, if that's it. Don't hold me strictly on that now. But he says it's a hybrid. And I believe there's two types of them. There's a plug-in hybrid, one of them, and there's a non-plug-in hybrid. So again, we're developing. What I do promise to do, if God spares me my health, is keep inquiring. Slowly but surely, somebody might find out this facts. If it's a diesel car only, then I'll have to publish that, because that's the type of site this is. We are not a propaganda outfit. So that's all work in progress. Now, the other thing about people considering buying electric or hybrid is, you've got to be careful whom you ask. If the person you ask has their car free from their employer, naturally they're going to say it's a great job. If they have it and they realise they wish they never had bought it, they may want to sell it. So they may not want to badmouth it. They may say, it's a grand joke, it's a grand joke. I don't know when I'll be able to keep the payments up on it. It's a bit expensive, I admit that. I might have to sell it. And then you might say, I'll buy it. You see, we want to be sure that the person that you're talking to is giving you genuine information, that this is how they feel about it, and this is how it goes. A lot of the electric cars are very low to the road, so you need to watch that on bumpy roads. Now, I see in around the towns young lads with cars, and there's only that clearance in the front. How they get around, I don't know. They must be always on the main road, because even a bump with tar, what the councils do on the road, would damn near hit them. And now the lorries are being made like this. This is kind of the style. It seems bananas to me. To my notion, one of the best developments in the car production is the bigger wheels, getting them higher off the ground, and they make an awful lot of sense irrespective of what engine is in them. So now, folks, I think I've been rather fair, relatively fair on this subject. It's a matter to be considered. The main point, I think, is that those who are considering buying an electric or hybrid, inquire. Don't just take all that's said to you. There's a video that in America they can't get rid of them off the forecourts, and therefore if you go into a garage they want rid of that inventory. So you want to watch that your salesman is not pushing them on you. You want to watch that. And but that doesn't mean that that won't pick up or that won't change. Certainly they're expensive, but if they're expensive, you need to make sure they're fit for purpose, that you are buying what will do the job for you in that way. And as they gain traction, then you have better opportunity to ask people. The other issue is this insurance issue. I've told you what I'm hearing. I asked that same motor dealer, he'd be a dealer in cars generally. I asked him about the insurance, and he says it's €5,000 in the UK to insure them. It's not 5,000 here yet. That's all to be found out. And what I would suggest to all my viewers, ask around nicely. There's no point in meeting someone who says, hey, what about electric car? You don't do it that way. You talk about the weather, you talk about Mary Riley's or Mary Smith's ingrown toenail. Oh God, she got it taken off, you know. Oh, just a sore thing, you know. And they got 2,000. Oh, this one. And Paddy was doctored, as to say around here. My neighbour Paddy is doctored. And what's wrong with him? Oh, he has something in his belly. I don't know what the hell. Oh, it's the drink. Oh, it's the drink. So that type of chat, and then you move round to asking about the EV. What about, how is the daughter getting on with electric car? It must be great. Well, I'll be chilling. I tell you one thing. I tell you now, it's no all is cracked up to be. So you get the truth that way. Don't ask the question direct. Think of it yourself. If someone comes to you and asks you, what about your son's electric car? You'll say, what the hell is this to do with you? In fact, I'm not going to tell you. What do you want to know? I just wonder how it's going. It's good. He's not going to tell you. You've got to get around the story. You've got to build up to it and then say, my lassie was thinking of buying one. I don't know what she's doing. Well, my lad has one, you know. It's good enough or whatever. Do you understand? You can't ask straight out. You have to ask indirectly to get the facts. If they think it's vitally important, they'll not tell you in some cases. And then you have to look. There's good YouTube videos there. Look at them, and these people are showing their face. There's Greg, the car dealer, and there's the other man there. They're showing their face, and they're not hiding about it. They're coming up front about it. So all of this is important in buying an electric car or a hybrid. Remember, to my notion, all the computers and electronics and that is not worth anything if it doesn't go. Now, there's a footage online I might post underneath where a car, it's in, I'll have to check that, but I just want to check now. That is the great thing about having the pause record. This Chinese made, I think, smartphone has a pause record, and I was able to stop there and get the facts. Isn't it simply amazing that no Japanese or other camcorder has that facility? Anyway, here's the story here. See it there? You can get it yourself. I'll post underneath. A man was kidnapped by his own runaway electric car and was forced to crash his vehicle after the brakes stopped working. Brian Morrison, 54, He's only a gossin. He's only a gossin. 54. Had to barrel through red lights and phoned the police from inside the car as he drove to his home in Scotland, in Glasgow, Scotland, on Sunday morning. Here it is. Here it is. There's some insight. It's an MG. That's the one the taxi driver I mentioned has. It's an MG, and I'll post it underneath. It took off. It's fully electric. It suffered a catastrophic malfunction. It suffered a catastrophic malfunction.
Here in my electric car, MG ZS EV, and on Sunday evening between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. I was driving from Hillside, just outside Glasgow, into Bishopbriggs, and after about a mile outside Hillside, I was coming up to a roundabout, and I went to slow down and brake, and there was no brake. So I then quickly went to switch on to the park button and the stop button here beside me, and unfortunately that didn't work. All of a sudden I had about 9 different things come up on the dashboard here telling me all the different faults, and then a warning to stop the car and drive safely. I then quickly rang my partner and I said, I don't know what to do. I'm sitting here in the car and it's driving on its own, but it won't stop. My partner then headed towards me from Bishopbriggs, heading my way. And then my partner quickly done a U-turn and went and stopped all the traffic ahead. Got to roundabouts and traffic lights and told to speak to people in hazard lights and flashing the lights to tell everybody to get out of the way. I knew I was coming to main roads ahead, so I quickly had to ring 999 and explain the situation. Within 3-4 minutes, blue lights just came from behind and in front of me, and roads were all sorted out ahead so that I could get a clear road through. And the police tried to telling me how to do the emergency stop. I did all that. The whole car malfunctioned and just kept driving. After about 10-15 minutes, the police sergeant then came up beside me and he said to me, please throw your car key out the window into the police van. The idea there was that when he got so far away from my car that the engine should have cut out because there was no car around. Of course, the car had malfunctioned, so that didn't work either. The last thing to do was an emergency stop by actually the police asking me to crash into the back of their van. So
Yeah.
that's what we did.
Now, folks, I'll post a link to that underneath. I'll post a link to that underneath. In fact, I probably should have done a separate video on it. But in my honest opinion, the way to stop a runaway electric car is to get a car to drive in front of it. Higher speed. We'll say the runaway car is doing 45. We say it's doing 45 miles an hour. Overtake it. Get in front. You'll have to be doing 60 to overtake it. And when you get in front of it, slow back slowly. As you get in front, right, it's going like that. So you get in front, you bring your car in front, then you slow down. Then you bring the car together nice and quiet. As you get the car nice together, you start to put the brake on yours. Now, it would be risky if you had a very light car, but I'd say the police would have a reasonably good 2 litre or 2.5 litre heavy enough car. And when they put the brakes on, that forces your car to either push it out of the way or stop. And I would definitely think, and I have to be careful here to say I haven't done tests on this, and you have to be careful, but that's if someone belonged to me or some person was in that trouble, I'd tell them, let me get in front of you. And when I'd get in front, I would leave the car in, let's say, 3rd gear, and then bring it on back and get it so that the car behind, the electric car, is pushing your car, and then slowly apply the brakes to bring the pressure down, and that way it should work. Anyway, that's enough now. That's a long video on electric cars. The last one I did on the bankrupt crowd in Cork that were doing the chargers got 811 views, and I hope this does as well. I think I've given a fair report, and that'll do for electric cars for a little while now. Thank you very much. Comment underneath, and safe driving, and at least if all we lose or all you lose is a bit of money, well, you live to tell another day. Bye, and we'll see you back for something else. Thank you.